Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first episode of Todd Senofonte Presents Stunts in Film, Stunts in Acting, and Stunts in Everything Else. Todd Senofonte. Let me give you a quick bio and rundown on who the man Todd Senofonte is. So, Todd has been in the entertainment industry for over 2 decades. As an actor, stuntman, and athlete, he's a man of many talents. He's always dreamed of being in movies. With his drive and persistence, he was hired on the film Sudden Death in 1994 to be Jean-Claude Van Damme's stand-in photo double. After a few films, he also became Van Damme's stunt double. A military veteran of Army, he achieved the physical fitness patch for performing 125 push-ups in 2 minutes and 85 sit-ups in 2 minutes, and ran the 2 mile in 12 minutes and 34 seconds. He landed his first acting role as Latab in Fist of Legends 2. Iron Bodyguards. The end fight scene is beautifully choreographed. He landed his second role as John Claude Croissant in the hilariously martial arts comedy Kung Fu-y. A few independent films Todd has worked on include Turbulent Skies, Super Shark, A Reason to Live, and The Deepest Dream. Todd is also a world traveler and a huge animal lover. Todd is now gaining fame for his acting abilities, as well as being one of the best athletic actors in the business. He has excelled in such sports as football, baseball, basketball, tennis, bowling, golf, archery, just to name a few. With his ability, sky's the limit for Todd Senofonte. And look out for his new movies, which include Alien Danger 2, It Wants Blood Part 2, and The Rideshare Killer, where he plays the killer in the movie. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the man, the myth, the legend, Todd Senofonte, Mr. Todd Senofonte.
What is up? Mr. Beal, that was a great introduction.
Thank you, sir.
How's it
So
going?
let's let the audience know about you, your beginnings in life, not just the business. We want to get to know who Todd Senofonte, the man, is. So tell us about where you're from and what it was like growing up.
I grew up in Dunmore, Pennsylvania. Uh, Not a lot of people know where Dunmore is, so I say Scranton because Scranton is on the map. It's a little town in Scranton called Dunmore. Growing up, I was blessed to have the best parents. They've always encouraged us, and sports played a major role in our lives growing up because football, baseball, basketball, tennis, bowling, golf, all those that you mentioned, was always a part of our life that made us achieve and prioritize, especially in schoolwork, because we'd go to school, then we go to practice, and then we'd have to come home and get our schoolwork done. So sports to me is a big part of my life. My dad was my first basketball coach, and he's the epitome of a Renaissance man. He's also my idol. He knows a little bit about everything, and that helped me, achieve a lot of my goals. And my goal again is to be just like him. He's a great guy, and I was also blessed to have both parents at every single football game, basketball game, bowling tournament. They're always there to support us, and I feel that it's a very, very important aspect growing up and continuing, to pursue different avenues right now.
So were you always a fan, or were you enamored with the entertainment industry as a youngster, like a young age?
Well, growing up, Jackie Chan, Jet Li, those are the idols. But if you want to get into the story how I started out, maybe I should. Um, I graduated Dunmore High School. Then I went to Penn State Scranton to continue my baseball and basketball career. And after I graduated Penn State Scranton, I joined the military. I joined the Pennsylvania Army National Guard, did my basic training at Fort Benning, Georgia. Um, and I'll never forget the very last day, right before graduation, the drill sergeants rolled in a TV, a VCR, and they had the movie Kickboxer. And all the guys are looking at it, Kickboxer. So we played it, we were watching it, and about 10, 15 minutes into the film, the guys are started looking at me and saying, "Hey Todd, you look like that guy." I said, "Who is it?" "It's Jean-Claude Van Damme." Ah, start watching it, keep watching it. So that was the first uh, uh, time anybody ever said, "Hey, you look like that guy." So I graduated basic training. I went home to Pennsylvania. I went to the main campus in Penn State. It's a great campus. It's a great school. I just couldn't really get my bearings. So I withdrew, took a semester off, and I applied to Bloomsburg University. Another funny part, day before I graduated, I was at this Halloween party. No, it wasn't a Halloween party. It was a party. No, it wasn't a Halloween party. And I was dressed as a girl. I had the tube top. I look kind of pretty. And these girls are waving me over. So I walked over. She goes, "No, you look like," I'm dressed as a girl, "you look like that Jean-Claude Van Damme guy." I go, "Really?" Okay. Second time someone said that. So I graduated Bloomsburg University with a bachelor.
Okay. Continue from where you left off.
I'm sorry, we are having technical difficulties. We lost the link. We're going to have to see if we can get him back on. So, if everybody will please stand by, we'll take care of that in just a minute. And while I'm doing that, Tim, maybe you can tell everybody about how you met Todd.
Actually, that's a good question. Being a life martial artist and martial arts film fan, Claude Van Damme pretty much, and my clients is my is blood. Frank Dukes is the base blood sport, and the film Jean-Claude Van Damme played Frank Dukes. Was the basis of the film was on Frank Dukes' life. So I just followed Jean-Claude Van Damme from there, and I'm a huge fan of stuntmen and stunt doubles. And I'm almost more of a fan of stuntmen and stunt doubles and stunt than I am actors, because stunt people put their bodies on the line, everything they do, and they're the ones who take the real risks. But they're never awarded and they're never really recognized, because a lot of actors don't like it to be known that they have stunt doubles or photo doubles. And like the awards, they have a best actor category for pretty much every division of acting, but they don't have a division for the best stunt award. And that's something that should be implemented, because these stuntmen and stunt women are the ones that take the risk, and they take more of a risk than anybody else on the entire set of a production. I've heard horror stories from stuntmen going through regular routines of doing stunts, breaking their neck, having to rehab. Give you a case in point with that is my client Bob Miner. He was the first black stuntman inducted into the Stuntman Association, which is a union for stuntmen, and he's the first black stunt double inducted into the Stuntman Association Hall of Fame. So he's done films. He's done car scenes, car chases, car stunts, falls, free falls. And he was on the set of Blues Brothers 2000, and he was doing a car stunt, and he overextended the wheel and turned it too sharply, turned the car sideways, did the stunt like he was supposed to do it. But when he did it in the landing, he jarred his neck to the point where he broke his neck in 3 places. And he had to take about 2.5 years away from the business to rehabilitate himself. He had to learn to walk again, he had to learn to talk again, he had to learn to do the basic functions of ordinary people, the everyday ordinary people. And so for me, like I said, following stuntmen's careers, stuntwomen's careers like I have, I just contacted Todd because I said, well, here's the guy behind Van Damme that actually makes it all happen.
Okay. And you know what?
But he just doesn't get the credit he deserves.
And I'll tell you what, we want to hear more of that. I'm going to talk about some other stuff right now, and I'm going to give you the opportunity to set up his link with him. I sent you an email to do that. And while we're waiting for Todd to get back, we want to mention some of the other shows we have on the channel. For those of you who are tuning in tonight and haven't had a chance to see them, Mondays we're talking about the Jurgensen Files with Randy Jurgensen at 4 p.m. Right after that at 5:30 p.m. is the O Spot with Ona Z. It's a very interesting take on a different part of the entertainment industry, the adult industry, and she's got a lot to say. Also, after that, at 8 p.m., we're looking at The Family Business with, yes, Eric and Eliza Roberts. And they're going to be talking about what it's like in their part of the world of entertainment. Following that, hey, it's another big night because it's 9:30. We're going to have No Holds Barred with Frank Dukes. That's right. We're talking about Jean-Claude Van Damme here right now. Well, Frank Dukes, he was the reason why we had Bloodsport as a movie, and Jean-Claude Van Damme actually played Frank Dukes in that movie. And then we're finishing up that night at 10:30 with Macho Man Days, and that's with the Macho Man. Tuesdays, it's 5:30 p.m. It's 0 to 60, The Punch with DeRussio Harris and Dada 5000. We're hoping they're going to be back. We understand there was an illness in the family, and we're looking forward to having them with us next Tuesday. I hope everything's fine. And starting after May 6th, we're going to have the Body Shop with, yes, Jesse the Body Ventura. 8:30 on Tuesdays. That's Freedom is Wonderful with Mary Michelle and Gio Arpeggio. We had their show last night. If you missed it, you missed a heck of a show. It was wonderful. And so we're looking forward to you getting together with us, for that. And then, of course, we round off Tuesdays with Tony. Tony Atlas talks about being in the wrestling industry, and it's really cool. I still haven't seen Todd come back to his link yet. Oh, wait, he just came back. So let's see if we can get him back online and see what happens. You there?
I'm here. Was I talking to myself on that last one?
You might have been.
No, you left off talking about you were basically they brought in Kickboxer. You were watching Kickboxer, and everybody told you look like Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Should I do the whole thing again?
No, just continue.
No.
Where do I leave off? Or start?
This is stage. This is improvisation. One take.
Where do I continue?
And if with this guy, we probably need about 20 takes.
What would you like to? Where would you like to continue? Let's put it that way. You were talking
I don't
about.
know where I left.
Oh,
so
were,
did it just cut off?
Yeah, it just suddenly disappeared. But you were just talked about the last night before you graduated.
Basic training.
Basic training.
Okay. I can start there.
No, actually, I think it was after basic. Did you go to college after basic training?
Yeah.
All right, so it was the last night before you ended college.
Okay.
All right. And the girls. Oh, yeah, you were dressed like a girl, and she thought you looked like Jean-Claude Van Damme.
So we already got that, or do I repeat it?
Well, I just said it, so you don't have to repeat it.
But I want to interject something real quick. Todd, as an actor, is a one-taker. He gets everything done right in one take, just to make that clear so people know who I'm talking about. He's a one-take actor.
That was a technical difficulty. Not my fault.
No, you're good.
Shame on you. All right, so when do I start? Go now?
Meanwhile, you can start anytime you like, sir. It's your show.
So yeah, at Bluesburg, I was at this Halloween party again, and these girls called me over and said, "Oh, hey, do you know who you look like?" They said, "You look like Jean-Claude Van Damme." So that was the second time it happened. So I graduated Bloomsburg, and I go home to Dunmore. I go to a local bar in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, with my buddies. So we're at this, it's like an outdoor patio deck. And I walk in and I see Ray Hollett. Ray Hollett is one of the original American gladiators. Her fighting name was Zap. Also, a shout out to my
Mm-hmm.
buddy Mike O'Hearn. Mike O'Hearn was Titan. But he getting back to Ray, I went over. I said, "Hey, Ray." I said, "Todd Senofonte." She goes, "I thought you were Jean-Claude Van Damme when you walked in." I was like, "That's the third time somebody said that." She goes, "Before you leave, make sure you come see me." I said, "Okay." So about an hour later, it started raining outside. My buddy said, "Let's go." I said, "Well, hold on. I got to go see Ray." So I go find her. I said, "Ray, we're going to take off." She goes, "Okay, let's meet for lunch next week. I really want to talk to you. Write up a little bio." I said, "All right." So we meet the following week. We have lunch. And she read the bio. She goes, "You should really consider about, doing something." I said, "All right. So, you should try to get some local, pictures and modeling jobs or acting jobs." All right. So I went home and I looked at the paper and they said, model wanted for a washer and appliance model. So I said, I applied, I got it. So I show up, they give me a shirt. It said either Stan or Bob and a big long screwdriver. So I had the screwdriver, into the washer and dryer, licking, waving, like that. And the guy taking my photo says, "Hey, do you know who you look like?" I said, "Eddie Murphy?" "No, you look like Jean-Claude Van Damme." And this guy actually had a business card for ICM, Jack Gilardi's office in Beverly Hills. He goes, "Here, see what you can do about it. See what we can do with that. You never know." I was like, "Yeah, cool." So I took it, went home. A couple, 2, 3 weeks later, I'm home at my table, eating my Cocoa Puffs. I saw the card. You know what? What the heck? I called my cousin, Gigi. She owns Powell Studio in Scranton. I said, "Gigi," I said, "can you take some pictures of me doing the kicks and the splits?" "Yeah, sure. Come on down." So we had the pictures taken, and I FedExed them to Jack Gilardi's office. 2 days later, I get a message. My dad goes, "Hey, someone called for you." I'm like, 310, 310. Where? That's California. I called the number up. I said, "Hey, this is Todd Senofonte, returning your call. Hey, Todd, we're glad you called. We loved your packet. Mr. Van Damme is out of the country right now, but we're going to make sure he definitely sees these." Like, okay, thank you. I remember I called all my buddies. "Hey, guess what? Guess what? Guess what? Guess what?" So I waited a couple more weeks. I sent more pictures. Another week, sent more pictures. Then I finally called them back. I said, "Hey, this is Todd Senofonte, just giving you a call. Just any updates?" "Yes, we have a big update. Jean-Claude is doing a movie in Pittsburgh called Sudden Death. You're in Scranton. Why don't you drive out there? You never know what can happen." I remember I hung the phone up. I packed my little Subaru up. I drove 5 hours west to Pittsburgh, not knowing where I was going to stay. And I'll never forget, I walked into the production office, and a girl was writing something on the pad, and she looks up. She gives me a double take. She goes, "Oh, Mr. Van Damme, you're here." I'm like, "No, I'm Todd. I'm applying for the stand-in job." Oh, have a seat." Met with the first AD. They were like, "Wow, Jean-Claude does have a stunt double, but we can definitely use you. Can you come back and meet the director next week?" And I'm thinking, could I come back? Yeah. Drove back, drove back, drove back. Met the director the following week, and they said, "Todd, we can definitely use you." So that is how the ball started rolling. That is how the saying, luck and timing. I'm the example of luck and timing, because that right there, I started on Sudden Death. And if you want, I can go on to other films, or do you want me to save those? Talk to me, Timmy.
We want to talk sudden death a little more because that's the beginning and that's the first experience you had in the business. And so when you walked onto the set, did Jean Claude know why you were there? I mean, did he know the
Well,
purpose you were there?
no, he didn't. And the very first time, it says, "We'll be right back." Are we off?
Hey folks, this is Wolfie D here, and if you are looking to buy or sell a home in Tennessee or Southern Kentucky, you're going to want to call my buddy, the rock star realtor, Benji Bowie. And you say, Wolfie, how do I get in touch with this rock star? Well, you can call him directly at 615-390-8216. You can go to his website, bowiehomes.com. That's B-U-I-E homes.com. Or you can email him at benbuie34@gmail.com. benbuie34@gmail.com. When you need a home, you need the Rockstar Realtor. Tell him Wolfie sent you. Benji is a member of Exit Realty's Garden Gate team in Gallatin, Tennessee.
M&J Video Games and Collectibles. Sport and non-sport cards, wrestling items, autographed items. We buy, sell, and trade. M&J Video Games and Collectibles, located at 1049 Queen Street, Southington, Connecticut. Call us at 1-860-479-9223 or 860-93-GAMES. M&J Video Games and Collectibles.
Hi, it's John from Under the Table Hot Sauce. I'm here with my friend, the star of the show, Jimmy Farrow.
Yeah, what's up, JB?
Nah, nothing.
It's been a hot summer, and for all your barbecue needs, you can go to underthetablehotsauce.com. 13 unique flavors to choose from, created and bottled in a Long Island kitchen. Underthetablehotsauce.com. Let's go chow, JB.
Let's do it.
All the flavor, twice the burn.
Senofonte and Stunts everything. We're talking about his beginnings in the business when he walked on meth, which was his very first experience in the business. And John, you were there. You were saying so when you walked up to John Claude, what happened? Did you walk up to him, or did he?
Well, here's what happened. So the very first day on set, I was still, I had to go to the production office in the morning, and the first AD or second AD comes over and says, "Hey, did you meet JC yet?" I said, "No." He goes, "Come with me." So we're walking down the hall, and I can see in the distance, Jean-Claude in his robe, looking at his wardrobe. And the second AD goes, "Hey, Jean-Claude, this is Todd. He's going to be your stand-in and photo double." And I was like, "Hey, Jean-Claude, nice to meet you. I'm a big fan." He shook my hand. He was like, "Whoa, where'd you find this guy?" And so that was the first encounter. So the very first day of shooting, again, all I had to do was the stand-in work. Those of you that don't know what stand-in does, a stand-in comes on the set before the actor, gets the proper lighting. So let's just say if Jean-Claude was running, towards a car, and he's got to stop and look back, I would do that first. So the camera guys know exactly, to zoom in, zoom out, and to get the lighting. So that was my gig for, the first 2 weeks. I would do that, and, he would come on the show. Okay, Jean-Claude, you got to go over there, look to your right, look up, and then go that way. So that's what a stand-in does. So that's what I did for the first few weeks. And I gave him his space. I didn't bother him on set. I did what I had to do. I left, and I would say probably the second week of the film in the Civic Arena. We're in Pittsburgh, Civic Arena during the hockey strike. So there's like nobody in the Civic Arena, just extras. So I'm up on the second level with the camera guy. He goes, "Okay, now Todd, you're going to stand here. I want you to look around, look down, look this way, and do that for a little bit." So, okay, I'm looking down, I'm looking this, and then from the back, I hear, "Hey, which girl you like?" And I turn around with Jean-Claude, and there's all a bunch of girls. "Oh, the girl in the green is kind of cute." He goes, "Yeah, you got to be careful these days." I said, "Yeah, I know. Yeah, I said I was in a long relationship, and that ended." He goes, "Really?" He goes, "Stay here." He does his scene. He comes back up the stairs. He goes, "Come with me." We go to the top level, and we're sitting side by side. He goes, "Okay, tell me what happened. Tell me what happened with you." "Well, she wanted to get married, and I had this opportunity, and He goes, okay, yeah, it happens, because, and then we just start talking about, uh, working out and training and eating right and the beautiful city of Pittsburgh. So that was our first bond. And then I'll never forget the little PA comes walking up the stairs and she goes, Todd, they're ready for you. I said, I'm talking to Jean-Claude. And then we just started laughing. He goes, you better go. I said, okay. I give him a fist bump. We go down. So that was my first encounter. And again, I would just do my job and leave, do my job. Then I got to start doing some inserts of what a photo double does. So whenever you see an actor and it goes like to a close up, let's see if their hands, doing stuff. That's pretty much what a photo double does. So I was, on the computer doing the photo double stuff. And then they had some scenes of me like running away when you can't see the actor. That's usually a double. So that's when I started doing the photo doubling. And then the end of when the helicopter, if you saw the movie, there's a helicopter that crashes and smashes, and Jean-Claude's stunt double was on the top of the arena. So there's a scene when it shows the helicopter coming down right before it explodes. You see, it's supposed to be Jean-Claude, it's supposed to be Mark, the stunt double, but it was me, just sitting on the a cardboard box, and they, of course, green screened it. But the whole scene where you see me just sitting there, like laying back like that. So that was another photo doubling job. And the best thing for me has nothing to do with the movie business, but we were filming at Three Rivers Stadium. I'm a big Pittsburgh Steeler fan. So it was a Saturday night. The Steelers were practicing for a Monday night game. So they were actually on the field. We were filming in the locker room because the Civic Arena was closed down. So before in between takes, I go to the AD. I said, "Can I run out to the field just to look?" "Yeah, go ahead." So I look. I got the chance to go into the Three River Stadium. There's Greg Lloyd, Mike Tomczak, Neil O'Donnell, Barry Foster, Yancey Thigpen, Rod Woodson, and then Coach Carr walks by. I said, "Hey, Coach." He gives me the chin. So that was kind of cool for me to be able to meet these guys. And I did have a chance to meet my favorite player, Greg Lloyd. He was walking out of the locker room. I said, "Hey, Greg." I was with my dad. "Hey, Greg," because my mom and dad came to see me. "Greg, can I get an autograph?" And I didn't have a camera at that time. I should have, but he gave me an autograph. So that was sudden. And towards the end of Sudden Death, and I do have to apologize to if Yamar Yager, if you're watching this, a hockey legend, we kind of tricked him. We're at a club and we pretended I was Jean-Claude's brother. He didn't know. We just kept it going. So Yamar Yager, I love you. Sorry about that. So after Sudden Death came to an end, I didn't know if I was still going to work with him. I said, "Jean-Claude," I said, "I'm available, if you need me for the quest." "Okay, go give your information to the producer, before you leave." I went over to the producer. "Hey, Jean-Claude told me to come over. If you need me." He was okay. I gave him my information. So Sudden Death was a great experience. I'll never forget walking onto that set with the big lights, and it was like a feeling of, I belong here. So Sudden Death ended. I went back to Dunmore. A month later, I get a call from the AD and says, "Hey, we can use you on the quest. Are you available?" Let me think here. Am I available? Let me tell my, yeah. So they said, "Don't shave, don't cut your hair, and we'll be sending you all the information." So my first flight overseas, I go to Thailand. I'm like, you can't put a price tag on, traveling, especially when it's not on your dime. So the quest was my next adventure. Again, just doing the stand-in, the photo doubling, because Jean-Claude still had a stunt double. The quest was probably the most beautiful scenery I have ever experienced. We started in Phuket, went up north to Ayutthaya, Pattaya, and then we ended up in Hong Kong. Hong Kong is a place that I think every single guy should visit before they get married. So again, the quest, same thing. Stand in. Okay, Jean-Claude, you got to do this, you got to do that. More inserts. I got to ride the horses. I got to ride the elephants. And then again, I didn't know if I was ever going to work with him again. Hey, Jean-Claude, you need me for the maximum risk. Let me know.
There you go.
He goes, okay, give me. I went over.
So
the
you
production.
actually, yeah, that's awesome. So when you went on the set of Sudden Death, you obviously went there to be Jean-Claude Van Damme's stunt or photo double. Let's say photo double. But did you have any other interests of learning the way films were produced? Like, did you pick the brain of the director? Did you pick the brain of the producer? Were you interested in learning that process of how films were produced?
At that time, I was still on cloud nine, so I would actually, watch what it takes to, put a scene together, because a scene on the screen that takes 2 or 3 seconds, it can take all day to film. There were long hours. The movie business it's not all glamorous like people think, but it gave me the insight of, okay, this is what the film business is. 17-hour days, 5-6 days a week. You either love this business or you hate it. You cannot just like it. And I just fell in love with it. I would stay a little extra, just to watch and learn. And I would watch, Mark, his stunt double at the time. I would talk to him. We actually had an interesting encounter. Now, those in the business know a stunt double is not a photo double. A photo double is not a stunt double. So one time we're at a bar in Pittsburgh, and the DJ said, hey, and then we have in-house Todd Senofonte, Jean-Claude stunt double. I'm like, what? Mark came over. I said, Mark, listen to me. I never claimed to be Jean-Claude stunt double on Sudden Death. I said, look, photo double. The people that don't know the business assume when you say photo double, that means stunt double. So we kind of like clear that up, because, I know how it's a sensitive subject, because stuntmen are proud of their work and they don't want anybody to take credit for it. So I cleared that up with him. He was fine with it. I talked to the coordinator. I had to explain the situation. So I would actually watch him. I would talk to the, stunt coordinator. I said, oh man, that's kind of cool. Can I do that? Well, Mark's the main guy, I said, okay. So I learned a lot, and that gave me the push to, try to do those, those stunts and the scenes, that get your adrenaline up and going.
So between the time you did Sudden Death, which again is your first experience in the industry, you actually started acting as well. And the first film that you did as an actor was Risk for Honor. Or actually, no, excuse me. It was Fist of Legends 2 Iron Bodyguards. So
Yes.
when you started into the business, were you interested in just pursuing it as a stunt double, potentially, a photo double, potentially, or were you also interested in the acting part of the industry?
I was interested in acting. I love doing the stunts. I love doing the action. And I'll tell you how I got Fist of Legend 2 Iron Bodyguards role. On the quest, one of the actors saw me, and he gave my information to a guy in New York named George Tan. He's a producer. I guess, he got a lot of, good response for me. And so I got a call after we left the quest. Look, are you interested in playing the Russian Lektov in Fist of Legend 2 Bodyguards? I said, yeah, sure. So that was how I got Fist of Legends 2 film, through being on the set of the quest. And then being in front of the camera, it just felt natural. Even though, I wanted to do like the fight scene, but it gives you a sense of, okay, here's the acting world. And then eventually I got to do, be involved in the stunt world. So Fist of Legend 2, we filmed in Taiwan. It was 4 days. It was so hot. It was so miserable. But that end fight scene, took about 2 or 3 days just to film. And it came out really good. Alexander Lowe was the stunt coordinator, a legend. And Jet Li, not the original Jet Li, but Jet Li that played the other character, was a great acrobat. He had so many quick, fast moves. Yeah, that's him there in the picture. And that experience, just catapulted me. Said, okay, this is something that it could happen, and it happened. And again, after the quest, I went to Jean-Claude. Hey, if you need me. So then I get a call to do Maximum Risk. Maximum Risk was one of my favorite films to do because that's how I got my SAG card. Again, Mark was a stunt double, and we're in France. And but before I get into that, I want to mention Paul Ben Victor. Paul Ben Victor played one of the CIA agents in the film. Great actor. So before we started filming, I had a day off, and I went down to this little pub, and Paul Ben Victor was on. And I knew Paul. Paul didn't know who I was. I said, Paul. I said, hey, I'm Todd. I'm Jean-Claude's, stand-in photo double. He goes, hey, nice to meet you. This is back in 95, 96. So they had TVs playing, and they had one. There's Paul Ben Victor on the left. One of my favorite films was on the screen, True Romance. Paul had the scene in that, True Romance, and it was at the very end scene. And there was a couple of girls next to him. He goes, hey, girls, watch this. And it was the very end scene where the big shootout, and then, Paul gets shot. I was like, Paul, it's my favorite film, man. He goes, okay, brother, we'll see you on set. So the next day, we start shooting. But before that, I went down to the lobby, and I got to meet Natasha Henstridge. Beautiful, beautiful girl. And I'm sitting there with one of the producers, and we pretended I was Jean-Claude's, cousin playing his double. And we had Natasha going the whole hour. And then at the end, I said, oh, Natasha, I'm Todd, I'm just going to be his, stand-in photo double. She goes, oh my God, where did they find you? And there was a couple of scenes that I got to do with Natasha in Maximum Risk. But Maximum Risk, it was a great film. We shot in France, in Nice, and then we went to Philadelphia, New York. So that there was again another great film that when it came to an end, again, hey Jean-Claude, forgive me for double team, go give me information. But Maximum Risk was the first stunt I ever did. It's a scene where Jean-Claude is driving the tripod, but they had a French guy doing the tripod. It was Mark and another French guy that when they crashed, they flew over. When you see them crash into the car windshield, they would cut and they would put me in there, harness me on the hood of the car. Because again, that scene, Mark was on, I think, the first unit, and Charlie Pacerni came over to me, stunt coordinator, said, hey, Todd, you want to do this? I said, well, what is it? Well, we're going to harness you on the car. You're going to be secure, and you're going to drive and crash into tables and chairs. I said, yes. So they had me do that, crash in, and that was my first stunt scene, and that's how I got my SAG card. So it was, again, timing and luck is I guess, the story of my life. So again, Maximum Risk ends. Jean-Claude, Ghosty, Moshe.
Would you say the business is? I think of the business this way. You may think of the business completely different, but I think the business is 90% luck and timing, being at the right place at the right time, and 10% talent. That's my personal opinion. I don't know what your opinion is, but I'd love to hear your opinion on that.
I'm going to say 95% luck, 5% timing.
Okay.
Because if you don't have any luck, there's no timing. That's just me. But I liked your percentage too. You can't go wrong.
So when you started out acting, had you went to film school? Had you went to acting school, or is this something you just?
I took commercial classes in Jersey, and then
Okay.
we're jumping a little ahead because in '99 when I moved to California, I started taking acting classes from Bobby Chance, Leo Rossi. So that was because when I moved from, I was still in Pennsylvania when I did Sudden Death, The Quest, Maximum Risk. After Maximum Risk came Double Team. Double Team
Hmm.
was probably the most physical movie for me because that was my chance um, to do the scene with a tiger. If you didn't see Double Team, there's a scene where Jean Claude gets chased by a tiger in the Coliseum, and it was, I would say, I ran the 100-yard dash in about 5 seconds. The scene, it was about 4 days shoot with the tiger because we had it. The trainers had the tiger. They had to actually show the tiger where to run, where to go up the steps, down the steps, and now that the tiger knew where it was going to run, now it had something to run at me. Before we started shooting the tiger scene, I went over to the producer. I said, "Hey, can I borrow your phone just to give my mom a call?" But before I do the scene, he gives her the phone. "Hey, mom, I'm doing a scene now. It's with a tiger. He's gonna be chasing me." "Oh, okay, honey. Is a tiger friendly?" "Oh, yes, it's so friendly, mom. I'm petting it. Going goochie goochie goo." I said, "Just want to let you know. We're gonna film it now. I love you. Okay, okay, bye." So I hung the phone up. Now the tiger, there's a scene. A tiger has his own cage. I had my own cage. What it was, I had to run around the corner past the camera. So I'm behind the wall and the tiger's in the cage. I'm standing next to the cage and the stunt coordinator goes, "Okay, Todd, try to get the tiger riled up." I said, "What do you want me to do?" So I went over to the tiger and I was like, "Ah!" And the fangs were, it was like huge. The roar, everybody heard the roar. I'm like, "Oh boy." So I'm standing next to the cage. When they say action, I start running around the corner, and all I can hear is a trainer open up the tiger's cage. I'm running past, you'll see that little gate where the tiger ends up. I run past the gate. I got to pull the gate in front of me to block the tiger for like, a couple, 2, 3 seconds. And then I leave and I run and I run. And I dive into my cage with the stunt coordinator in there. So they close the cage with the big stick. And then we're waiting for the tiger to come around. And the tiger is guided to that cage. They close that cage. "Okay, cut. I think we're gonna have to do it again." I'm like, "Oh boy." So we had to do it again, and same thing. We set the tiger up. I'm next to the cage. "Hey, hey, Gucci, Gucci, goo." Uh, and then again, action. Now this time, I turn the corner and I slip. My heart went up to my throat. I'm like, "Oh boy." I run around. I pull the cage in front of me. The tiger's up there. I'm shaking it a little longer, a little longer, a little longer. And then I run. I dive into the cage. He goes into his cage. And then there's a scene, I think you showed it earlier, with Dennis Rodman with the motorcycle. After that scene, I had to run up the steps and then down the steps. Now the director said, "Okay, Todd, when you're running up the steps, we want to try to get the tiger in the shot with you." I'm like, "Oh, okay." So you'll see in the scene where I'm running and then the tiger does get into the scene. But when I come down the steps, there was about maybe 30 steps. I'm running on the steps. I'm looking back. And then I dive into the cage and the tiger comes down the steps and he jumps into his cage and closes it. So it was probably the most adrenaline I've had in a long time. Just being chased by a wild beast. They're beautiful, beautiful animals.
Jeff Quest, graphics design, custom vinyl lettering, and all your art and video needs. 516-317-8204. That's for Jeff Quest, graphic design. And Nitro's Garage for all your automotive needs. Call 646-675-2349. That's 646-675-2349. For all your automotive needs, Nitro's Garage. Ask for Jack.
In the mood for a freshly roasted cup of coffee? www.offtherailscoffeeroasters.com.
We're back. We're back, Tim?
Okay, so tell us what happened in the next film.
So after Double Team, again, are you guys there? Hello? Anybody home?
You are back. You had frozen there for a little bit, and we were like, "What happened to him?"
I was froze. Okay, I'm back on.
You're back on, and you may tell us all about the rest of your life in 5
So
minutes.
after,
No, I'm just kidding.
yeah, no problem. Oh, is that how much we have? 5 minutes?
No, we have about we've got a good
12?
10, 15 minutes.
Okay. And then, so after Double Team, I get the call to go to Hong Kong to film Knockoff. Hong Kong. These stunt guys were the elite of the elite. These guys are so incredible. I got to meet and work with Rob Schneider, Layla Rashan, Paul Sorvino, all these guys. So pretty much the same thing. The sand and photo double, now the stunts. And so for Knockoff was another scary situation. There was a scene where Jean-Claude is driving a speedboat, and he's got to come. There's two big barred ships, and there's a tow line in between the two barred ships. So we had to drive the speedboat in between that tow line, step up on the seat as the boat is going, and then jump off and grab onto the tow line, and the boat keeps going. The very first take, the boat, I get right in between, and as I'm about to jump, the boat stalls. Now there's an AD in the front of the boat, under in a little like compartment. I'm like, the boat stalled, and here comes the barge. The barge just crashes into us. It turns us sideways like we're holding on. So that was another scary moment, but the finished product looked awesome. I got to work with Sammo Hung. He's incredible also. You know, he's Jackie Chan's bigger brother in their brotherhood. Um, so just being on set now, getting really comfortable, you know, with the stunt work, and I would still stay on set and just watch, you know, Rob and Jean Claude, you know, do their dialogue, Layla and Paul Sorvino. So it just that momentum kept going and going and going. So sudden death, Sam Hong. So sudden death, knockoff. So knockoff, and then after knockoff, they're pretty familiar, you know, with me. So after that, I leave, and I think there was probably maybe a knockoff after maybe like a couple years in between. Then I got to do other stuff. You know, I was fitness magazines. Yeah, I got involved with that stuff. And then after that, it was Legionnaire. Now, Legionnaire, we filmed in Morocco. Legionnaire, I feel, is one of his best movies. It was a great film that should have been sent out theatrically, but it was just on DVD. In Morocco, Sahara Desert, out in nowhere, and then because you can be looking in the north direction, crystal clear, blue skies. You turn around, dark, sandstorm coming. And one day we were hit with a sandstorm, and we'll never forget. Everybody said, "Okay, everybody into your trailers now, into your trailers." Legionnaire. We got to the trailers. The sandstorm came, and that was the one time it happened. There was a lady. I think she was with the craft service. I think she was having like a seizure, and I see Jean Claude running over and going over to her, and I guess, you know, he helped her, give her shot during the sandstorm. So gave her a shot, and then, you know, got her to safety. The sandstorm maybe lasted, you know, a couple minutes, but that was my first sandstorm. But just again, traveling to these countries, you can't put a price tag on it. You know, it makes you appreciate what you have when you go back home, because the way some of these people live. Same thing in Thailand. You know, we get to walk into the villages. They have like a little like a bucket where they wash and everything. It just makes you appreciate what you have. You know, when you go to see these different countries. So Legionnaire ends. That was 98, I believe, and then I made my transition. I moved to California. California was in 99. I've been here 22 years, 23 years, more like that. And I remember I stayed with my buddy and his wife in California for about a month or so. But my first 2 weeks in California, it's again timing and luck, because there was a time where I lost contact with Jean Claude, and so my friend and his wife was a teacher, so they would let me use the car. I would drive her to her teaching class, and then I just came back to Woodland Hills. I went to the mall. I'm into the Sharper Image was a store. You know, those massage chairs. I'm sitting in a massage chair like this, and a girl comes running in. She goes, "Oh my God, Jean-Claude Van Damme is in the mall." Is he? So I get up from the massage chair. And it's Jean-Claude and Gladys and his kids. I went over, I say, "Jean-Claude, it's Todd." He goes, "Hey, Todd." He goes, "Hey, I'm going to need you to come with me to Texas to finish up Universal Soldier: The Return. We'll send you all the information." I was like, "All right." So I'm in California only 2 weeks. And again, I meet him again. And then, you know, so I go to Texas. We do the final scene with Michael Jai White. Michael Jai White is the man. I know a lot of people don't like him, but he was just a great down-to-earth guy, just like Jean-Claude. They're both great guys. And just meeting him and working with him and, cracking jokes with him, it makes it all, the more fun when you get to actually know these actors and actresses that are in the business. Again, I'm still kind of getting in the business, but I got some stuff under my belt. And then after Universal Soldiers Return, again, I started worrying about my career. I went about through maybe 2, 3, 4 agents at the time back in '99, 2000. They just had no idea how to market me. So I said, what do I need an agent for? I just kept networking myself, passing cards out, sending headshots, and and then slowly but surely, I get some stuff on Craigslist. I go to Craigslist. Actors needed. I got to do a short film called A Reason to Live. It was a dramatic little film that really shows, well, my range of acting, as well as, besides the stunt work, the kicking, the punching, and all that. And all of my reels, if you're interested, are on YouTube. If you just type in my name, you'll see my acting reels, my stunt reels, all these other different interviews. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. You can find me everywhere, but it's where I belong. So when I made that move, I made the right move. I'm not saying it's easy, because this business, it's got its peaks and valleys, peaks and valleys, peaks and valleys, rejection left and right, left and right, left and right. But if you stick with it, it can happen. It can happen for anybody.
What do you think would be your favorite thing to do as a stunt?
Well, I've always loved doing, the fight scenes, because with Jean-Claude, he's a perfectionist. I learned so much with him. The fight scenes were always, adrenaline rushed, and just in general, you know, being thrown downstairs or driving a motorcycle or driving a car, just in general, stunts in general, it is a big adrenaline rush. And for me, I I don't know if I can pick one thing, but if I wanted to pick one thing, it would be the fight scenes, because Van Damme is a legend. I've learned so much from him. I've learned so much from Jackie Chan's stunt people in Hong Kong, because they came to visit us on set. Um, Again, just a big adrenaline rush to just to be there and to see what it takes to put a movie together. Again, it's not all glamorous. It's long hours, take after take after take, and to get to know the people on set, because when you're on a set, you're part of their family. I like to get to know all the craft service people, the hair and makeup people, the electricians, the best boys, the grips, camera guys. And you get to know these people because they've been around, and you learn a lot from them. So for me, just being on set is probably the best part of everything I'm doing and everything I've done.
What will your fans be looking forward to next week? Because this show is over for today. What will you be talking about next week on that show, or don't you know yet?
Are we still live?
We are still live.
Oh, it's a secret.
It's a secret. All right. Well, we'll keep it as a secret. And you want to say anything else to your fans?
TODD out, train hard, think positive, and have fun.